You know, I've met a few people that have been on fire, and they've all told me the same thing. They said, "Ah!" And look, I'm not gonna call them liars. I just think that statement lacks nuance. I find it calming, actually. In fact, I think this may be the lifestyle for me. I do have to fight some firefighters every once in a while, and I will say, some people are less than accepting of it. I had someone call me a flamer the other day. Haven't heard that one since like 2006. People cross the street when I'm around. The Klan does not know what to do on my front lawn. So that's something. Look, I don't want to be treated any different because I'm on fire. In fact, being on fire has made me more human. I'm just like you now. This is not a metaphor for anything, by the way. Don't read into this. I assure you, I am not reading. I cannot risk setting books on fire while insisting nothing's going on. That's not a good look. All you need to know is, I'm on fire, and this is Pregame Discharge, the only video game show that never lets the spark go out. Oh, fuck! Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is only a couple weeks out at this point, and we finally got our first substantial look at it in the form of a 10-minute gameplay demo that showed off the new stupid Gmod tools they're giving you to break the game with, which is a cool thing to focus on. The insane shit people have figured out how to do in Breath of the Wild is really one of the biggest highlights of that game. This time you can MacGyver weapons together with objects in the world and your inventory. That magnet thing you have more or less works on everything now, and you can stick shit together and create makeshift vehicles. Link can reverse stuff and go up. It looks like this. I don't really know how to explain it. Basically, they're giving you even more freedom than you had before. So I was like, okay, I think I see what kind of a sequel this is. It's less about making more tailored content, more about expanding the toolbox, right? But then they dropped this more trailery trailer that teases some cool story stuff, the return of more traditional Zelda dungeons, and Link interacting with various NPCs, even fighting alongside some of his bros from the first game. In the course of those two trailers, I pretty much went from, I'll play it, I'm sure it'll be good, to, holy shit, I need it now, fill all of my holes with it, and let it solidify in my holes. I don't care what the consequences are. If you didn't think Fortnite was set to take over the world already, it's about to get even bigger. Unreal Editor was just added to the game, giving Fortniters a robust set of tools to build custom content. It took like a day, and people are already building Mario Kart and Grand Theft Auto levels, and if I were to put money down on what would pave the way into whatever the hell the ill-defined metaverse is, it's gonna be fucking Fortnite. Zuckerberg's out here sinking his company on silly headsets so he can be the forgettable bad guy in Ready Player One not. It's gonna be the People's Republic of China orange justicing its way forward into the digital realm. Until that terrifying reality hits, I gotta say, goddamn, Fortnite used to be Technicolor Zoomer cringe that I used to make fun of for looking like the fake video game from Wreck-It Ralph 2. And that is kind of what it is, but now every time they do something with it, I'm like, oh, that's actually fucking cool. I guess what I'm asking is, does playing Fortnite at 30 constitute a midlife crisis? Nintendo did an indie Nintendo Direct that you probably wouldn't get. It's sort of underground, you know? A big standout was Blasphemous 2, which is a sequel to a decent Metroidvania slash 2D Souls-like with an extremely cool pixel art style full of blood popes and death nuns. Rift of the Necrodancer made an appearance. It's a rhythm game sequel spin-off to Crypt of the Necrodancer, which looks like it's one part WarioWare, one part Guitar Hero, and one part Punch-Out. Also, the trailer had a sick-ass track by friend of the show Family Jewels, which makes me do a big slippery smile. Cult of the Lamb is getting some DLC that adds a bunch of new weapons, enemies, followers, and challenge modes. We got another look at Animal Well, a neat-looking Metroidvania which internet donkey guy is publishing now with his luscious pubes. Shadows Over Loathing is a game that they let an 8-year-old make, but it looks like he did a good enough job to where it might end up on the fridge. There were a few other games that I don't have the OCD to care about, and of course, no fucking Hollow Knight Silk Song, because someone really integral to the game's development probably quit or something. That's my guess, at least. Okay, be honest, did you use a waifu dating sim to file your taxes? This is less of a news story, I'm just curious how well it worked. For those of you that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, there's an anime visual novel called Tax Heaven 3000 that files your actual actual real 2022 United States tax return for you under the guise of a dating sim. The game was originally going to launch on Steam but got pulled, probably because you put your personal data into it, which makes it a potential security risk. However, the creator of the game insists that it's probably safer than most big box tax software anyway, so if you filed an extension and you want to get that Ugu Desu tax refund, it's available on itch.io. Seriously though, if you use this, leave a comment, make a burner account if you don't want to out yourself. I genuinely need to know. Hey, you hungry idiot, do you want to eat good food and not have to order out or cook it? Well then, good news for you, because this episode is sponsored by Factor. Factor's chef-prepared meals are delivered right to your door, you pop them in the microwave, and in 2 minutes or less, you can be eating how you're always saying you should. Whether it's vegan, vegetarian, keto, or calorie smart, Factor has more than 27 meal options each week that can help you reach your goals without having to meal prep or anything. You don't need discipline, you don't gotta clean, it is hands down the most convenient way to eat healthy. Sponsors help us make cartoons and better content, so if you want to show them some love, support the channel, and have the whole food thing taken care of, use my link or go to go.factor75.com and use code POGRATHAPPER50 for 50% off your first box. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. I know you're hungry, and the microwave beckons, so what are you waiting for? Valve's next game is Counterstrike 2. Now you might be thinking, haven't there been like 3 Counter-Strikes? Well, shut up! Counter-Strike 2 is built from the ground up using the Source 2 engine, which everybody was real stoked on a while ago and then completely forgot about, probably because it never ushered in a promised new golden age of Gary's mod. But this is maybe a step towards that. Valve has a bunch of little featurettes on various aspects of the game on its YouTube channel, like maps, and some of the technical features. For example, you know how in Counter-Strike your gun doesn't fucking shoot where you're aiming it half the time? And if you acknowledge that, people who have been playing Counter-Strike for 47 years start dislocating their hip at you? Well, Valve apparently thinks it's a thing and fixed it maybe, kinda. Look, if you want to hear the thoughts of people who actually like that game, they had a closed beta and there are first impression videos and stuff floating around. So far the response is generally positive. It seems like they don't want to mess with it much. It pretty much looks exactly the same to any discerning normal person. It's just a little prettier and you can see enemy guys a little better. There weren't a lot of fun April Fool's things this year, but if there was one standout, it's that Sonic the Hedgehog is fucking dead for real. Sega released an official visual novel called The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, where you get to see Sonic's dead corpse for free. You can maybe solve the mystery of who killed him if you want to. I mean, I never saw you at any of his birthdays, but if you knew the guy, it honestly just seemed like an inevitability. He made a lot of enemies. The studio behind Warframe is working on a new game called Soulframe, which looks like what it sounds like it is. It's Dark Souls Warframe. Now, they actually did show us a trailer a while ago of a moose fishing a naked guy out of the water, and that naked guy was you. Look, it's you. But they recently showed an early prototype build during a Warframe live stream to give you a little bit more of an idea of what they're making. I wouldn't judge it too harshly. Even they were like, we shouldn't be fucking showing you this. I can't imagine anybody seeing this and getting super excited. It's very in progress, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm not gonna be as harsh as I usually am on it. It takes a lot of vulnerability to show something off in this state. That's like making fun of the naked person at the life drawing class. It's like, come on, man. They're letting their flabs hang out so that you can learn something. Maybe they're a pervert, I don't know. At a different bus stop, I might feel differently, but I am so sidetracked. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4 got announced, which was kind of surprising considering the last game using that tongue roller of a title scheme came out in 2007. The teaser didn't really show anything, but Tenkaichi was notable for being the Dragon Ball Z game that had every single fucking character in it, which means this game is going to either be super ambitious, or if recent Dragon Ball Z games are any indication, it'll have a lot of downloadable content. Do you want to know how Street Fighter 6 is gonna play? Well, then you have two options. You can sit there continuing to wonder like a freaking mook, or you could just download the demo. It's out now on pretty much everything, and they haven't said anything about it ending at any point, so as far as I know, you can just play it until the game comes out. You know the 12-year-olds that are gonna be beating your ass online are, so you better catch up. If Hyper Light Breaker isn't on your radar yet, it really should be. It's a sequel to Hyper Light Drifter, but it doesn't really look a whole lot like like that game. What you need to know is it's an open world co-op game with fast, flashy combat, cool traversal mechanics, and it's a roguelite, meaning every time you fire it up, it'll open a new world for you, like a goatsy of possibilities. Speaking of eldritch horrors and expansive open places, Remnant 2 has been getting a lot of showcase videos of everything from classes to bosses to just big healthy chunks of uninterrupted gameplay. See, that's what you want. I've said it a lot and it bears repeating. If a game is willing to show off a good amount of gameplay, especially uninterrupted, that's a good indicator that it's got something good. It's the reason we do the whole no game, no hype thing. It's easy to hide a bad game in sizzle trailers or get people excited by wiggling around something familiar in a nice pre-rendered cinematic. This game is doing a lot of speaking for itself. It's saying, "Play me, mama." It calls you mama. I don't know what this new thing is. You know how Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard? Well, if you don't know, now you do. But it appears that the British have said, "Oi, Gav, that ain't very well good, innit?" and blocked the deal, which they can do, apparently. They then said, "Cheers, mate. Let us abscond proper and eat our bowls of jellied eggs." Hip, hip. Now, I'm sure this is just a temporary setback and Microsoft will just shove money into it until it gets all moneyed out. But it's just a reminder that this thing is still not finalized and might take even longer if more of these pop up. Now, I usually don't do Magic the Gathering related stories unless I want to annoy Kyle, but did you know that the Pinkertons still exist? You're probably saying, the Pinkertons, like those 19th century dudes in the bowler's caps? The bad guys from Red Dead Redemption 2? Yes, those. So what do they have to do with Magic the Gathering? Well, some dude bought the new set. It's called March of the Machines. The next set that they haven't released is called March of the Machines Aftermath. So some wire got crossed somewhere and they sent him an unreleased set by mistake. So he makes a YouTube video unboxing it. Next thing he knows, a stagecoach rolls up to his house and the Pinkertons are at his door intimidating his wife. Wizards of the Coast, the company that publishes Magic and D&D, has gotten a lot of flack recently. But I don't know, maybe hiring a mercenary union busting service from, and I can't stress this enough, the 1850s to go rough up a YouTuber shouldn't have been the play there. Okay, I cut out a story about crime boss Raw Case City because I didn't realize that game released already and nobody cared. So this next segue is not going to make sense, but speaking of chewing clowns, Suicide Squad, which was supposed to come out next month, has been delayed all the way into next year. Now, this could just be a normal delay. These things happen all the time, but it's worth mentioning that the last showcase of this game got shit on super hard over the live servicey stat stick farming nightmare grind that it promised, which was a pleasant surprise for me, honestly, as Mr. Stop Putting Numbers in Games for No Reason. I'm used to seeing, haha, me gamer, RPG good, damage in game don't change for some reason, but number in menu go up. That means progression, which clearly wasn't made intentionally slow to keep me playing this game like a second job. Season pass only cosmetic, and I've spent $600 for some reason. No, but seriously, I'm glad you're all catching on. Is this delay to fix all that? Maybe. It's honestly hard to say how baked into the core mechanics of the game it is. I remember when they took the microtransactions out of Shadow of War, they massively rebalanced the game, so I think it's possible to do that. If not that, maybe some kind of half measure. Or maybe they just needed to delay it anyway and wanted to give it time for the heat to die down and then just do it still. I don't know if that's a good plan, but Warner Brothers is not smart. Which brings me to our next story. Multiversus is shutting down until 2024. This may come as a shock to people who were paying for season passes and cosmetic items and just assumed the game would probably roll over into its release like early access free-to-play games normally do. But have you considered no? Have you thought about maybe fuck you? Asus has announced its competitor to the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally. The exact specs and price aren't going to be revealed until an event on May 11th, but some tech press has actually gotten their hands on it under heavily monitored conditions. What we know is that it will be more powerful than the Steam Deck. The word double has been thrown around, but that could just be total bullshit. Also, what could be total bullshit is the rumor that it's gonna cost under $1,000. There are two models, both run on a custom AMD Z1 processor using the new Zen 4 architecture. The difference being one has 6 cores and the other has 8. So if my nose for marketing language is smelling it right, the 6-core one will probably be just under $1,000, and the 8-core one will probably be more than that, and under some abstract metric, we'll be able to pull off quote-unquote double the Steam Deck's numbers, whatever that means. It's also said to use the same power draw as the Steam Deck, so similar battery usage and heat output. It'll have improved cooling, I mean just visually it has 2 back vents instead of 1, and will feature a 1080p screen with 120Hz refresh rate, as opposed to the Steam Deck's 800p and 60Hz respectively. The big advantage to me is that it runs Windows, which makes it a lot more functional as a laptop, and also means that you'll be able to play games from Game Pass, Epic Games Store, and unfortunately, League of Legends. At a starting price of $400 though, the Steam Deck is probably still going to be really hard to beat. Valve has the unique advantage that they don't actually have to make money on their console, they just want you buying stuff on Steam where they get a 30% cut. But whether this is the Steam Deck killer or not, I think it's probably the first real competition it'll have. And that's a good thing. Who knows, maybe this new handheld focus will mean developers will be more incentivized to optimize their fucking games, which seems to be a little bit of a lost art form. You know, when I started this video game news show, I never thought I would have to have a vagina watch. It tells you the vagina time. This time, vagina time, it's Destiny 2 that rang the vagina chime. There's an item in the game called Bond of Detestation for the Warlock class, which I guess kinda looks like a vagina, if your standards are really low. I'm sorry if you have a sideways ass pussy, by the way. I'm sure it still feels fine. My point is they patched it to make it look less like a vagina, which is an outrage, right, ladies? Free the vagina, that's what I always say. The nipples freedom is not enough. E3 is fucking dead. After pretty much everyone and their mother pulled out, no wait, their father pulled out and their mother swallowed them. Boom, perfect cum joke. Anyways, E3 2023 is canceled. And honestly, at this point, it seems like this might be the final pullout to take it off life support. E3 has been canceled on and off for the last few years, and most of the big players aren't even showing up anymore. This is all because I made fun of it. That's right, it was me that destroyed E3. It was me. With that, Jeff Keighley's power as Mr. Video Games has been solidified as the Summer Games Fest passive-aggressively announced its date for June 8th, the exact same day. Plus, there'll probably be other digital presentations because gaming companies can just do that themselves now. So we'll still be getting a bunch of summer game announcements. Don't scream. That is my job. Anyway, here are the game releases for the month. I'm Lyle Rath, and this has been Pregame Discharge. If you're new here, we do an episode at the end of every month. We skipped over the last one, but we're not going to make a habit of that. That was just kind of special circumstances. And if you haven't seen it yet, there's a new cartoon out. Go check it out. It's called Clown Room. If you want to help us make more, you can support us on Patreon. And if you want to, like, read a book or something, it might do you some good. I'm just saying.